What's up, guys? How y'all doing tonight? Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody's enjoying the day. Uh, First off, I do want to say, uh, uh, Ghost Devil, brother, I send my prayers to you. If you need anything, brother, you or Digger, don't hesitate to send a message. Okay? But prayers up to you, Ghost Devil, and your family. Uh, can't say I know how you feel because everybody feels different, but prayers to you, brother. I love you. Austin 420, what's up? Hey, Lorray. There's hippie grandma, Nana, my brother from another mother down under. Dumpling, cool gamer, Adam Maynard, Pac Man. What's up, Pac Man? How's everybody doing today? Hope y'all are doing well. Does Does anybody know who Son of Sam is? Penny, hey Penny. That's who we're going to talk about today. Is Mr. Son of Sam. And after we talk about him, we're going to throw some uh, things out there about the stream, what's coming up. So let's go ahead and be sure to hit the thumbs up on your way in. Hit that share it out to everywhere that you go. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, wherever y'all go. Share this out there. Maybe we can get some more people in here. And please, if you want to, comment down below after the show. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring up the story, the Son of Sam. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see it good enough? I mean, put a one in chat if you can see it good, or two if you can't, and I'll try and go up with it. Okay. All right, we'll go. David Richard Berkowitz, born Richard David Falco, June 1st, 1953, also known as the Son of Sam and the 44 caliber killer, is an American serial killer who pleaded guilty to 8 shootings that began in New York City on July 29th, 1976. Berkowitz grew up in New York City and served in the United States Army using a 44 special caliber bulldog revolver. He killed 6 people and wounded 7 others by July 1977. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Misty. We'll kick back and relax, and you'll learn a little bit about the Son of Sam. This happened before some people in here may have been born. You may have heard about it in school. You may have heard about your parents talking about it. So figured I'd read a little bit about it, throw my interpretation in there. Terrorizing New Yorkers and gaining worldwide notoriety. Berkowitz eluded the biggest police manhunt in the city's history while leaving letters that mocked the police and promised further crimes, which were highly publicized by the press. And this is Mr. David Berkowitz right over here. He was arrested August the 11th of 1977. That's what that right there is. August 11th, 77. Berkowitz was arrested August 10th. I'm sorry, but they must have been after midnight when they booked him in. And subsequently indicted for 8 shootings. He confessed to all of them and initially claimed to have been obeying the orders of demons manifested in the form of a black dog belonging to his neighbor, Sam. After being found mentally competent to stand trial, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 6 life sentences in the state prison with possibility of parole after 25 years. He subsequently, where'd it go? He subsequently admitted that the dog and devil story was a hoax. In police investigations, Berkowitz was also implicated in many unsolved arsons in the city. Intense media coverage of the case lent a kind of celebrity status to Berkowitz, which many observers noted that he seemed to enjoy. The New York State Legislature enacted new statutes known as the Son of Sam laws, designed to keep criminals from financially profiting from the publicity created by their crimes. The statutes have remained law in New York despite various legal challenges, and similar laws have been enacted in several other states. During the mid-1990s, Berkowitz, by then professing to be a converted evangelical Christian, amended his confession to claim that he had been a member of a violent satanic cult that orchestrated the incidents as a ritual murder. A new investigation of the murders began in 1996, but was suspended indefinitely after inconclusive findings. I've heard that story so many times growing up, that he was part of a cult, he was this, he was that. And then, guys, if any of y'all has ever been in jail, and I'm not saying this to try and say that it doesn't happen, but every time you go to jail, you always turn to God or tell people you have, just so it'll look good on you so you can get released. Don't use that. Just be yourself. And if you get parole, you get parole. If you don't, you don't. Don't lie just to and use religion to get out. Because if you do that and you go right back, they're not going to believe you the next time. So don't even try that. David Berkowitz was born Richard David Falco on June 1st, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. Within a few days of his birth, his biological mother, Elizabeth Betty Broder, gave the child away. Broder had started a relationship 3 years previously with a man named Joseph Kleinman, who became Richard's biological father. Although her reasons for giving Richard away are unknown, writers have surmised that Kleinman threatened to abandon her if she kept the baby and used his name. Broder had grown up as part of an impoverished Jewish family and was working as a waitress. Prior to meeting Kleinman in 1936, she married Tony Falco, an Italian-American. After a marriage of less than 4 years, Falco left her for another woman. The infant Richard was adopted by Pearl and Nathan Berkowitz of the Bronx. The Jewish-American couple were hardware store retailers of modest means and childless in middle age. They reversed the order of the boy's first and middle names and gave him their own surname, raising young David Richard Berkowitz as their only child. Journalist John Vincent Sanders wrote the Berkowitz childhood was somewhat troubled. Although of above average intelligence, he lost interest in his education at an early age and became infatuated with petty larceny and starting fires. I didn't know that, and I knew about this story for a long time. What was that? He suffered head injuries as a child. Neighbors and relatives would recall Berkowitz as a difficult, spoiled, and bully. His adoptive parents consulted at least one psychotherapist due to his misconduct, but his misbehavior never resulted in legal intervention or serious mention in school records. He attended public school number 123 and public school number 77. Um, where's it at? Berkowitz's adoptive mother died of breast cancer when he was 14 years old, and his home life became strained in later years, particularly because he disliked his adoptive father's second wife. Hey, Kristen. Berkowitz lived with his father while attending Christopher Columbus High School, graduating in 1971, and college in a 4.5 room apartment at 170 Dreiser Loop in Co-op City from 1967 to 1971. In 1971, at age 17, Berkowitz joined the United States Army and served at Fort Knox in the United States and with the Infantry Division in South Korea. After an honorable discharge in 1974, he located his birth mother, Betty, and after a few visits, she disclosed the details of his birth. The news greatly disturbed Berkowitz, and he was particularly distraught by the array of reluctant fathers. Hey, Striker Force. Reluctant father figures. Forensic anthropologist Elliot Layton described Berkowitz's discovery of his birth details as the primary crisis in his life, a revolution that shattered his sense of identity. His communication with his birth mother later lapsed, but for a time he remained in communication with his half-sister Rosalind. Berkowitz attended Bronx Community College for 1 year, enrolling in the spring of 1975, and in 1976 he went to work as a driver for the Co-op City Taxi Company. He subsequently had several non-professional jobs, and at the time of his arrest was working as a letter sorter for the United States Postal Service. During the mid-1970s, Berkowitz began committing violent crimes. He bungled his first attempt at murder using a knife, then switched to a handgun, and began a lengthy crime spree throughout the New York boroughs of the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens, seeking young female victims. He was purportedly most attracted to white women with long, dark, wavy hair. All but one in the crime scenes involved two victims. He infamously committed some of his attacks while the women sat with boyfriends in parked cars. Berkowitz exhibited an enduring enjoyment of his activities, often returning to the scene of the crimes. Berkowitz claimed that he was 22 years old when he committed his first attack on Christmas Eve, 1975, when he used a hunting knife to stab two women in Co-op City. The first alleged victim, a Hispanic woman, was never identified by police. The second was a 15-year-old Michelle Foreman, a sophomore at Truman High School, whom he stabbed 6 times at a bridge near Dreiser Loop, and whose injuries were serious enough for her to be hospitalized for a week. Berkowitz was not suspected of these crimes, and soon afterward he relocated to an apartment in Yonkers. The first shooting attributed to Berkowitz occurred in Pelham Bay, neighborhood of the Bronx, at about 1:10 a.m. on July 29, 1976. Donna Loria, 18, an emergency medical technician, and her friend Jody Valentine, a nurse, was sitting in Valentine's double-parked Oldsmobile discussing their evening at Preach Trees, a New Rochelle discotheque. Laura opened the car door to leave and noticed a man quickly approaching. Startled and angered by the man's sudden appearance, she said, Now what is this? The man produced a handgun from the paper bag that he carried and crouched. Bracing one elbow on his knee, he aimed the weapon with both hands and fired. Gloria was struck by one bullet that killed her instantly. Valentine was shot in her thigh, and the third bullet missed both women. The shooter turned and walked away quickly. Valentine survived the injury and said that she did not recognize the killer. She described him as a white male in his 30s with fair complexion, about 5'8", and weighing about 200 pounds. His hair was short, dark, and curly in a mod style. The description was repeated by Loria's father, who claimed to have seen a similar man sitting in a yellow compact car parked nearby. Neighbors gave corroborating reports to police that an unfamiliar yellow compact car had been seen cruising the area for hours before the shooting. Years later, in 1993, an imprisoned Berkowitz admitted in an interview with journalist Maury Terry that he had shot Loria and Valentine. DeNaro and Keenan shooting, which happened in October of 1976. On October 23rd, 1976, a similar shooting occurred in a secluded residential area of Flushing, Queens, next to Bound Park. Carl DeNaro, 20, and a Citibank security guard, and Rosemarie, 18, a Queens college student, were sitting in Keenan's parked car when the windows suddenly shattered. I felt the car explode, DeNaro said later. Keenan quickly started the car and sped away for help. The panicked couple did not realize that someone had been shooting at them. Even though DeNaro was bleeding from a bullet wound to his head, Keenan had only superficial injuries from the broken glass. But DeNaro eventually needed a metal plate to replace a portion of his skull. Neither victim saw the attacker. Police determined that the bullets embedded in Keenan's car were 44 caliber, but they were so deformed that they thought it unlikely they could ever be linked to a particular weapon. Because DeNaro had shoulder-length hair, police later speculate that the shooter had mistaken him for a woman. Keenan's father was a 20-year veteran police detective of the New York City Police Department, causing an intense investigation. As with Loria and Valentine shooting, however, there seemed to be not to be any tangible motive for the shooting. Police made little progress with the case. Many details of the DeNaro-Keenan shooting were very similar to the Loria Valentine case, but police did not initially associate them, particularly because the shootings occurred in different boroughs and were being investigated by different police precincts. November 1976, DeMazzi and Lomino shootings. High school students Donna DeMazzi and Joanne Lomino, 18, walked home from the movie shortly after midnight on November 27, 1976. Excuse me just a second, guy. Where was that? They were chatting on the porch of Lomino's home in Floral Park when a young man dressed in military fatigues approached them and began to ask directions. In a high-pitched voice, he said, "Can you tell me how to get to?" But then quickly produced a revolver. He shot each of the victims once, and as they fell to the ground, he fired several more times, striking the apartment building before running away. A neighbor heard the gunshots, rushed out to the apartment building, and saw a blond man running past, gripping a pistol in his left hand. Damazi had been shot in the neck, but the wound was not life-threatening. Lamina was hit in the back and hospitalized in serious condition. She was ultimately rendered paraplegic. Freund and Dial shooting, January 1977. At about 12:40 on January 30th, 1977, Secretary Kristen Freund, 26, and her fiancé, bartender John Dial, 30, were sitting in Dial's car near the Forest Hills LIRR station in Queens, preparing to drive to a dance hall after having seen the movie Rocky. Damn, that's hard to believe. 77 was when Rocky come out. Holy cow, man, I'm old. Three gunshots penetrated the car. In a panic, Dial drove away for help. He sustained a minor superficial injury, but Freund was shot twice and died several hours later at the hospital. Neither victim had seen their attacker. Watching from the shower. Police made the first public acknowledgement that Freund and Dial shooting was similar to earlier incidents and that the crimes might be connected. All the victims had been struck with a .44 caliber bullets, and the shooting seemed to target young women with long dark hair. New York NYPD Sergeant Richard Conlon stated that the police were leaning towards a connection in all these cases. Composite sketches were released of the black-haired Gloria Valentin suspect and the blonde Lomino Damazi suspect, and Conlon noted that the police were looking for multiple suspects, not just one. And that name, Boskarishian, I'm just going to call her Bosk, March 8th, 1977. At about 7:30 p.m. on March 8th, 1977, Columbia University student Virginia Vosk was walking home from school when she was confronted by an armed man. She lived about a block from where Freund had been shot. In a desperate move to defend herself, Vosk lifted her textbook between herself and her killer, but the makeshift shield was penetrated. The bullet struck her head and immediately killed her. Press and publicity. In a March 10th, 1977 press conference, officials and Mayor Abram Bean declared the same .44 Bulldog revolver had fired the shots that killed Laura Ann Vosk. Official documents were later revealed, however, saying that while police strongly suspected that the same .44 Bulldog had been used in the shootings, the evidence was actually inconclusive. The crimes were discussed by the local media virtually every day. Circulation increased dramatically for the New York Post and the Daily News. Tabloid newspapers with graphic crime reporting and commentary. Foreign media featured many of the reports as well, including a front-page article of newspapers such as the Vatican's Romana, the Hebrew newspaper Marv, and the Soviet Izvestia. Esau and Sarani shooting in April. At about 3 a.m. on April 17, 1977, Alexander Esau, 20, a tow truck operator, and Valentina Sarani, 18, a Lemmon College student and an aspiring actress and model, were sitting in a car belonging to Esau's brother on the Hutchinson River Parkway service road in the Bronx, about a block from Sarani's home and only a few blocks away from the scene of the Loria Valentini shooting. A resident of a nearby building heard 4 shots and called the police. Cerrone was sitting in the driver's seat, was shot once, and Esau twice, both in the head. Cerrone died at the scene, and Esau died in the hospital several hours later without being able to describe his attackers. Police said the weapon used for the crime was the same as the one which they had suspected in the earlier shootings. In 1993, Berkowitz confirmed that he was the shooter. Crime scene letters. Police discovered a handwritten letter near the bodies of Esau and Cerrone, written mostly in block capitals with a few lowercase letters, and addressed to NYPD Captain Joseph Borelli. With this letter, Berkowitz identified himself as the son of Sam for the first time. The press previously dubbed the killer the .44 caliber killer because of the weapon of choice. The letter was initially withheld from the public, but some of its contents were revealed to the press, and the name Son of Sam quickly replaced the old one. The letter expressed the killer's determination to continue his work and taunted police for their fruitless efforts to capture him. In full, with misspellings intact, the letter read, "I'm deeply hurt by you calling me a woman hater. I am not, but I am a monster. I am the son of Sam. I am a little brat. When Father Sam gets drunk, he gets mean. He beats his family. Sometimes he ties me up to the back of the house. Other time, he locks me in the garage. Sam loves to drink blood, go out and kill, commands Father Sam. Behind our house, some rest, mostly young and hard and slaughtered. Their blood drained, just bones now. Papa Sam keeps me locked in the attic too. I can't go out, but I look out the window and watch the world go by. I feel like an outsider. I am on a different wavelength than everybody else, programmed to kill. However, to stop me, you must kill me. Attention all police. Shoot me first, shoot to kill, or else. Keep out of my way, or you will die. Papa Sam is old now. He needs some blood to preserve his youth. He's had too many heart attacks. Ugh. Me hooted. Hurts, sonny boy. I miss my pretty princess most of all. She's resting in Our Lady's house, but I'll see her soon. I am the monster Beelzebub, the chubby behemoth I love to hunt. Prowling the streets looking for fair game, tasty meat, the woman of queens are the prettiest of all. I must be the water that they drink. I live for the hunt, my life. Blood for Papa, Mr. Borelli, sir. I don't want to kill the world. I love people. I don't belong on earth. Return me to Yahoos. To the people of Queens, I love you, and I want to wish all of you a happy Easter. May God bless you in this life and in the next, and for now I say goodbye and good night. Police, let me haunt you with these words. I'll be back. I'll be back. To be interrupted as bang, 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 bank, bang, ugh. Yours in murder, Mr. Monster. And this is one of the actual letters. I say goodbye and good night. Police, let me haunt you with these words. I'll be back. I'll be back. To be interpreted as bang, 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 bank, bang, ugh. Yours in murder, the monster. Mr. Monster. At the time, police speculated that the letter writer might be familiar with Scottish English. The phrase, "Me hoot, it hurts, sonny boy," was taken as Scottish accented version of "My heart, it hurts, sonny boy." The police also hypothesized that the shooter blamed a dark-haired nurse for her father's death due to the too many heart attacks phrase, and the fact that Loria was a medical technician and Valentine was studying to be a nurse. Thank y'all for coming in and being in here while I read this. But be sure to hit the thumbs up when you come in, hit that share, and hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to help the channel grow, you can do so in the Cash App right there. It's not required. The only requirement, come in here, listen to me, have a good time, and hopefully you like the story that I'm reading. What was that? The killer's unusual attitude toward the police and the media received a widespread scrutiny. Psychologists observed that many serial killers gain gratification by eluding pursuers and observers. The feeling of control over media, law enforcement, and even entire population provides a source of social power for them. After consulting with several psychiatrists, police released a psychological profile of their suspect. He was described as neurotic, who probably had paranoid schizophrenia, and believed himself to be a victim of demonic possession. This was a letter to the Daily News columnist Jimmy Breslin. On June 6, 1977, Salvatore Lupo, a mechanic's helper, and Judy Placido, 17, a recent high school graduate, had left the Elfus discotheque in Bayside, Queens, and were sitting in Lupo's parked car about 3 a.m. When 3 gunshots blasted through the vehicle. Lupo was wounded in the right arm, while Placido was shot in the right temple, shoulder, and back of the neck. Both victims survived their injuries. Lupo told police that they'd been discussing the Son of Sam case only moments before the shooting. Neither Lupo nor Placido had seen their attacker, but 2 eyewitnesses reported a tall, dark-haired man in leisure suit fleeing from the area. One claimed to see him leave in a car and even supplied a partial license plate number. With the first anniversary of the initial .44 caliber shootings approaching, police established a sizable dragnet that emphasized past hunting grounds in Queens, the Bronx. However, the next and final .44 shooting occurred in Brooklyn. Early on July 31st, 1977, Secretary Stacy Moskowitz. Last shooting was Moskowitz, and his last name was Berkowitz. And clothing salesman Robert Violent, both 20, were sitting in Violent's car, which was parked under a streetlight near a city park in Bath Beach on their first date. They were kissing when a man approached within 3 feet of the passenger side of the car and fired 4 rounds, striking both victims in the head before he escaped into the park. Violent lost his left eye. Moskowitz, the only blonde victim of Berkowitz, died from her injuries. Then that night, Detective John Falatico was awakened at home and told to report to the 10th Homicide Division of the 60th Precinct Station's house in Coney Island. He was given 2 weeks to work on the Moskowitz violent case as a normal murder investigation. If it could not be solved in that time frame, it was to be given to the Son of Sam task force. So it goes on. And on August the 10th, the following day, on August 10th, 1977, police investigated Berkowitz's car, which was parked outside his apartment building at 35 Pine Yonkers. They saw a gun in the back seat searched the car and found a duffel bag filled with ammunition, maps of the crime scenes, and a threatening letter addressed to Inspector Timothy Dowd of the Son of Sam Task Force. Police decided it was time to wait for Berkowitz to leave the apartment rather than risk a violent confrontation. Come on, minute, guys. They also waited to obtain a search warrant for the apartment. Worried that the search might be challenged in court, the initial search of the vehicle was based on the handgun that was visible in the back seat. Although possession of such a gun was legal in New York and required no special permit, the warrant still had not arrived when Berkowitz exited the apartment building at about 10 p.m. and entered his car. Detective Valetico approached the driver's side of the car and pointed his gun close to Berkowitz's temple, while Detective Sergeant William Gardella pointed his gun from the passenger side. A paper bag containing a .44 caliber Bulldog revolver of the type that was identified in ballistic tests was found next to Berkowitz in the car. Berkowitz then stated flatly, "Well, you got me," as described in The Son of Sam, 1981 by Lawrence D. Klausner. Politico remembered the inexpressible smile on the face. "Now that I've got you," Blatko said, "what have I got?" "You know," the man said. What the detective remembered was a soft, almost sweet voice. "No, I don't. You tell me." The man turned his head and said, "I'm Sam." "You're Sam?" "Sam who?" "Sam David Berkowitz." An alternate version claims that Berkowitz's first words were reported, "Well, you got me. How come it took you so long?" Valetico was officially credited by the NYPD as the arresting officer of the Son of Sam. Hey, Misty Dawn. Hey, Amber Dawn. All right. Soon after Berkowitz's arrest, the address. Where'd that come from? Oh, never mind. I see where it was now. Soon after Berkowitz's arrest, the address of the apartment building was changed from 35 Pine to 42 Pine in an attempt to end its notoriety. Berkowitz was briefly held in New York's police station before being transported directly to the 60th precinct on Coney Island, where the Son of Sam Task Force was located. At about 1 a.m., Mayor Beam arrived to see the suspect personally, and after a brief, wordless encounter, he announced to the media, "The people of the city of New York can rest easy because of the fact that the police have captured a man whom they believe to be the Son of Sam." Berkowitz was interrogated for 30 minutes in early August of 77. He quickly confessed to the shootings and expressed interest in pleading guilty. The investigation was led by John Keenan, who took the confession. During questioning, Berkowitz claimed that his neighbor's dog was one of the reasons that he killed, stating the dog demanded the blood of pretty young girls. He said that Sam, mentioned in the first letter, was his former neighbor, Sam Carr, and that Harvey, Carr's black Labrador, was possessed by an ancient demon, which used irresistible commands that Berkowitz kill people. A few weeks after his capture, Berkowitz was permitted to communicate with the press. In a letter to the New York Post dated September 1977, he alluded to his original story of demonic possession, but closed with a warning that he was interpreted by some investigators as an admission of criminal accomplices. "There are other sons out there. God help the world." At a press conference in February of 79, however, Berkowitz declared that his previous claim of demonic possession was a hoax. Berkowitz later stated in a series of meetings with special High Court appointed psychiatrist David Abrahamson that he had long contemplated murder to get revenge out on the world that he felt rejected and hurting. 3 separate mental health examinations determined that Berkowitz was competent to stand trial. Despite this, defense lawyers advised Berkowitz to enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, but he refused. Berkowitz appeared calm in court. On May 8, 1978, he pleaded guilty to all the shootings. At his sentencing 2 weeks later, Berkowitz caused an uproar when he attempted to jump out of a window of the 7th floor courtroom. After he was restrained, he repeatedly chanted, "Stacy was a whore," and shouted, "I'd kill her again. I'll kill them all again." The court ordered another psychiatric examination before sentencing could proceed. During the evaluation, Berkowitz drew a sketch of a jailed man surrounded by numerous walls. At the bottom, he wrote, "I'm not well at all." Nonetheless, Berkowitz was again found competent to stand trial. On June 12, 1978, Berkowitz was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for each murder to be served consecutively. He was ordered to serve time in Attica Correctional Facility, a supermax prison in upstate New York. Despite prosecutors' objections, the terms of Berkowitz's guilty plea, I can't believe I said it like that, made him eligible for parole in 25 years. After his arrest, was initially confined to psychiatric ward in Kings County Hospital, where the staff reported that he seemed remarkably troubled by his new environment. Well, can't help that, Berkowitz. In 1987, Berkowitz became an evangelical Christian in prison, according to his personal testimony. His moment of conversion occurred after reading Psalms 34:6 from a Bible given to him by a fellow inmate. He says he is no longer to be referred to as the son of Sam, but the son of hope. He's still crazy. Soon after his imprisonment, Berkowitz invited Malachi Martin, an exorcist, to help him compose an autobiography, but the offer was not accepted. During later years, Berkowitz developed his memoirs with assistance from fellow evangelicals. His statements were released in 1989, interview video, Son of Hope, with a more extensive work released in a book form entitled Son of Hope, The Prison Journals of David Berkowitz, 2006. Berkowitz does not receive any royalties or profit from any of his sale of his work. He has continued to write essays on faith and repentance for evangelical websites. A website is maintained on Berkowitz's behalf by a church group, since he is not allowed to access a computer. Berkowitz stays involved with prison ministry and regularly counsels troubled inmates. While in the Sullivan facility, he pursued education and graduated with honors from Sullivan Community College. Berkowitz is entitled to a parole hearing every 2 years as mandated by state law, though he has consistently refused to ask for his release, sometimes skipping the hearings altogether. Before his first parole hearing in 2002, Berkowitz sent a letter to New York Governor George Pataki demanding that it be canceled. In all honesty, I believe that I deserve to be in prison for the rest of my life. I have, with God's help, long ago come to terms with my situation, and I have accepted my punishment. At his 2016 hearing in Shawangunk, New York, Berkowitz stated that while his parole was unrealistic, he had felt he improved himself behind bars, adding, "I feel I am no risk whatsoever." His lawyer, Mark Heller, noted that prison staff considered Berkowitz to be a model prisoner. Commissioners denied a parole. His next parole hearing is scheduled for May 2024. So he's still in prison as of 2016. His next parole is next year, May of next year. So, I don't know, guys. That's the son of Sam, which he claims to be the son of Hope now. So, go figure, guys. I don't know. But that was the story for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, don't forget to smash that like for me. Don't forget to share this out everywhere. There's 19 people in here, so hopefully other people will hear this. I will put it out on my community post. Starting tomorrow, I'm doing another tattoo auction and what I'm talking about is send your highest bid into the Cash App at Tattooed Rebel 2229, and the highest bid will get to pick my next tattoo, as long as it's not perverted, and I will put it on my arm just like I did for Wild Angel. I got her tattooed on my arm. She was the winner of the last one, and we'll see how that runs. I'll run it. Let's see, today is July 16th. I will run it until we'll go to August 16th. That's a month. We'll go to August 16th. So if anybody wants to put a bid in, I will let everybody know what the bid is. I won't let you know who the bid winner is until the 16th of August. So I'll go ahead and put that in on my Nightbot. That way it'll pop up. And we'll go from there. Tuesday night, I will be having my veteran show. So please tell all the veterans to please come by. Check it out. Wednesday, don't know what I'm talking about yet, but we'll go from there. I might have a small show tomorrow. And then I don't know when I'm going to do this, but I'm coming up with a thing to do for Christmas for the kids that'll start in probably the 1st of September. Okay. So guys, I thank you for coming in. I think Becca's going to go live at 10 or 10:30. If you're still in there, Becca, what time are you going live? I'm going to say 10:30. I don't know exactly what time, but I'm going to say 10:30. And Ghost Devil, I'm going to send you a message on in the Discord office here, and just as soon as I get done here, okay, buddy? But guys, thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. You're good, Messy Jesse. Just please come back and watch because I announced a couple of things I'm going to do, like I'm going to do another tattoo auction where the winner of the auction gets to pick my next tattoo as long as it's not perverted. Uh, and then I'm going to do something for the kids for Christmas this year. Probably start it the 1st of September. So please keep a checkup on the the community page on my YouTube page, the community part. Keep checking on it. If you're in Discord, check on it. If you haven't, become a member on my page, and you automatically get Discord. So I automatically give you Discord. It's a members only Discord. So thank y'all for coming in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, Becca's going to go live at 10:30. I will see you all Tuesday night, maybe tomorrow night, but I know definitely Tuesday night for the veterans. So if you know any veterans, please invite them over. And y'all be good, be safe, stay out of trouble, and go check Becca out. And thank y'all for coming in. I love each and every one of you. And remember, over here, we don't say bye. We say see you. So y'all have a good night. See you. Love y'all very, very much. Thank you for everything that y'all do for us. Love y'all. See you.